Hey y'all, day 3 of Convos with Bree. We are back. Today, I want to extend a bit on a piece of what I spoke about yesterday, and that is around relationships and of all sorts. I was talking about, and I have talked quite a bit in the past about when relationships start to just kind of fall out. Um, when things start to get a little messy and all of a sudden your best friends don't feel like your best friends. Your relationship may not feel fulfilling the way that it did. Um, I have a really different take on what it means to have relationships and to allow each other space in order to go through some of the harder, more conflicting things that we go through in life. I am in no way excusing the mean energy that people throw on each other. And I am in no way saying that if someone treats you poorly, that you should just forgive them and allow them to continue doing what they're doing. That is not what I'm saying at all. However, previously, when these situations would come up, I would be so hurt and I would get stuck in these loops of constantly thinking about what they did to me or what I didn't do to them or how unfair the balance is in this specific relationship. And my birthday actually brought this topic back up because I started noticing how many of my friends didn't really see me and how many of these people that I was putting up on a pedestal for so long didn't even see me. And then I started realizing that the friends that I do have, the friends that are like top tier, that we have been together through thick and thin, and we have allowed each other to take space and grow, and we always come back together. The difference in those relationships is that instead of me holding on when I notice this disconnect, this out of balance energy that is in our relationship, the ones that I feel comfortable with, I just allow them to take space. They allow me to take space. And instead of having to cause a fallout in our relationship, we are able to just say, hey, if I'm distant right now, um, I am just going through some things. Or if we don't even discuss it, they just know, or I just know that we are, whatever's happening, it doesn't concern us and they're just processing their own world. Because no matter how close you are to somebody, they still have their own world without you. They still have their world that's internal. They still struggle with things. And we're not put on this earth to fix things for each other. And I think that a lot of us think that we are. So if something is wrong, we automatically just want to fix it for our people. And that ends up causing a lot of friction because most of the time we're not actually looking for a fix. We're looking to be heard. We don't want to feel like we can't figure it out ourselves. And a lot of times when I am having conversations with others about their lives and about what I'm seeing, that's one of the things that comes up is I can see it pretty crystal clear. Like it's obvious to me by what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling from the person that I'm having the conversation with, where they are internally having that disconnect. And when I say that to them, sometimes it hits them in a way they weren't expecting. And the first thing that they go to is anger or frustration or things like that. They don't want to feel like I know better than them. But what they don't understand is that I can see it crystal clear when I'm having a conversation with somebody. But most of the time, when I am having a conflict within, I can't see it. Or I can see it, but I can't figure out how to make myself align with what I know I need to do. And so I do need a deeper conversation about it. I do need somebody who calls me out on the things that they see. And I need to be hit with that uncomfortable truth so that I can meet that version of myself. But people are so afraid to actually provide what it is that they're seeing because they're afraid of the fallout. They're afraid of the reaction. They're afraid of any negative emotion coming back on them. And I struggled with that for years until I started really diving into it and I started coaching for a while. Really, I was just doing the same thing I am now, but I was trying to fit myself into this nice, neat, clean little box so that everyone else was comfortable and could understand what I'm doing. And that just burned me out. So I went right back to let me just be myself, and whatever happens from that happens, and I'm going to learn to be okay. I started realizing when some of my friends were making suggestions about things that I would like to do for my birthday. And I realized none of these things are for me. It's for them to be able to do what they want to do. And I put a little test out because I don't normally test people, but sometimes I feel it is completely necessary to genuinely see where somebody is in your life right now. The minute that happened and I said, no, that is not at all what I want to do for my birthday, I felt the shift. They were upset that I didn't want to do what they wanted to do for my birthday. And I was like, this is a common theme in my life amongst a lot of my relationships. And like everything is good until I try to state what it is that I would like to do or what I need for the day. And then poof, they disappear. They only need me when they need me. And previously, I would have let that derail me. That would have hurt my entire soul. And I won't lie to you, it did it first. And I had to have a few conversations about it with my trusted people to be able to feel like I could get my feet on the ground and not just let the emotion run it for me. But it's really hard. It's really hard to not start to compare everything that you have done and sacrificed for somebody else who doesn't even see you. And I said out loud, I'm pretty sure that this has nothing to do with me. And I'm feeling pretty unseen and pretty unloved in this moment. And it's hurtful. And I don't like the way this feels, especially with how much I give in this relationship. I took that hurt and I transformed it into understanding. And I decided I don't want to get stuck in this negative loop that I used to get stuck in. I don't want to think it to death. I don't want to be upset and hurt and like we're not friends anymore. I don't want it to be this big thing. And I asked myself, how can we change this inner system? How can I reroute this and create a new path that builds and empathizes and just scooches these pieces where they should be instead of giving them so much power? So I took a beat And I said, I'm going to do a test. I'm not going to say anything else the rest of the weekend. And I'm going to see if this person actually tells me happy birthday on my birthday, which normally I would not care about. I do not, you guys, like, I am so grateful when people tell me happy birthday, but I know all of us have a birthday and it is impossible to keep track. I can barely even remember what day it is half the time, let alone remember whose birthday it is. Um, so I do not typically make this an issue. And I don't even pay attention to who did or didn't really tell me happy birthday. I've seen a lot of people get really hurt over that. And I have felt a lot of hurt over that in the past. Just being made to feel very insignificant when everyone else is so celebrated. And granted, I am going to point out that this could also be a trauma response for me because I have felt so uncared for by some of my favorite people on earth when they were in my life. When it came turn for my day, it was never anyone's real priority. So not since I was a little kid, and my friends weren't very good at doing the same things we all did for them. And I just decided really early that it didn't matter. And I switched it away from doing anything with my friends shortly after, like, one of my early birthdays in my 20s. And I started revolving the entire weekend around my mom and I because honestly, my mom is my best friend. She is everything, you guys. Like, I could not be more blessed to have that woman the way that I do in my life. And it was really just her and I. I was being born and she was borning me. So what better way? And she is hyped about my birthday and I am hyped about hers. And we're hyped about each other every single day. So I stopped giving anyone else any power around my day. And I did the one thing I wanted to do, which is hang out with my mom, my homie. We laugh, we cry from laughing so hard. Sometimes we cry because we're talking about really deep, like cool, deep shit. And I just love her. I love her. I respect her. And ever since I started doing that, my birthday has been lit. When I was on the road, I didn't get to spend our birthdays together for over 3 years. So this year, that's all I cared about. Literally, I didn't even care about doing anything with my partner. All I wanted to do was see my mom. And then one of my other very, very best friends, like, she puts a gold standard on friendship. The way that she sees me, the way that she understands me, the way that she just lets me be me. I love her so much. And she was there. She came with us when we went and did some of our stuff on Saturday. She took us to brunch. The waitress was terrible and she messed up my entire order and wasn't going to fix anything. And she made sure that it was done. The manager or the owner of the place ends up coming over. We end up having him for the rest of the brunch. He is phenomenal. We learn all of these cool things. She turned this, what could have been a negative experience, into this incredible experience. She helped me work through things I really needed help working through. She is actually the reason I am back here recording, because she just said, babe, you gotta just press go. You gotta just do it. And I am so freaking grateful to her. I have a very small, extremely tight group. And then I have this other layer where I don't see these people as often or keep in touch as often. But every single time I see them, it's like we never left. And the closeness never dies. It never becomes anything negative. And it doesn't matter how much space we need to take or what we've been through, we can always come back together. And I absolutely love that. I think that having those two layers in my life is genuinely all I need. And then I have this third layer, which is a lot of people who are just really awesome. They're just really incredible. And if I run into anyone of these people that I'm thinking of in public, I am genuinely excited to be able to have a moment with them. And I know we might not come back together anytime soon, but every single time we see each other, it's like that light. And I have a really, really big network of people that I am talking about. If you're watching this video, it's probably you. And then I have strangers, y'all. I have strangers who we just start talking and it's incredible. We may never see each other again. We might not even know anything about each other, but I will think about them for the rest of my life. There was a lady at Hy-Vee when I was a coach at Weight Watchers, and I could just feel this pain on her. And I just sort of moved a little closer to her, and then I saw her move a little closer to me, and I could feel that we were being pulled in towards each other. And so I just, broke the ice with something silly and about produce or something. And this woman just started tearing up, and she started telling me everything about what she was going through. And I helped her with some of the questions she had. I showed her the Weight Watchers app that I was using and told her about the meetings. And she just, I don't know, it was just something changed that day for her. And I felt it. And I think about all these incredible conversations that I've had throughout the years with these strangers. And it reminds me that my life is so beautiful. It's so good. And the way that I am diminishing my life is by getting stuck on, well, this is a longtime friend and she doesn't even see me. She doesn't even know me. She doesn't even really care about me because she didn't tell me happy birthday on my birthday because it wasn't about me. I was correct in my assumption. That doesn't mean everything is null and void. That does not mean that everything we've been through is nothing. It's just like what I said yesterday about when people are alcoholics and then they quit drinking and they go X amount of time without a drink. And then the minute that they slip, they are like, oh, it's all for nothing. No, that's not anything that this means. And I started really seeing this pattern that I was just, I have to share this because I'm not alone in this. Right now, we are just not aligned for whatever reason. And we've had this a lot throughout our life where we have to take some space because we both feel a little unimportant or slighted by the other, and then we come back together. Sometimes we're just in our own shit and we are sort of blaming the other person because we have been friends for a very long time. And it's a safe space, honestly, to do that because we know no matter what happens, we can come back and say, hey, I might have been a little bit ridiculous here. And we can chat about it. Or we can say, hey, I feel really bad. I was really in my own shit and I wasn't thinking about you at all. You're right. And that's all any of us really need is accountability. I hear you. I see you. And I will hear you better. I will work at this. And I hope we can have more conversations. If it ever starts feeling like this again, I hope that we can have a conversation about it sooner before it dwells and builds and whatever. We learn, we grow, we evolve together. The hard things are not supposed to create a loop of spiral, of dread, of hurt, of hate, of any of this. It is supposed to teach us to look at ourselves. Now, anyone watching this might be like, girl, you have a really good friend. That's damn. I have got to fix this. I'm so sorry, y'all. I got to figure out how to fix my computer so it stops shutting down in the middle of it. um, but it wasn't about, oh, okay. So everyone that hears this story may say, no, girl, that is a trauma response and you should hold her accountable and your friends should not do that. And she is completely wrong. However, I have found in the last few years that the more obviously wrong someone else is, and the more people that agree with the thing that is unjust, the more that means I am supposed to be looking within. It's clear that she did not prioritize me as a friend for my birthday. It is clear that the thing she wanted to do was for her. It is clear that she was not thinking about me. She has known my birthday for our entire lives, basically. It is clear that she was not a good friend in the moment to me. But it is not super clear about what I was doing. I did not have this conversation. I just shut down because I let my feelings be hurt. And then I spun about it a little bit and I did get stuck in the loop. And I did let that prioritize all these magical things that were happening in my life. I didn't celebrate the boundary. I didn't celebrate how proud I was of myself because past me would have just given in and done what everybody else wanted to do. I would have taxed myself for my day and spent all of my energy doing things I did not want to do. Literally the worst environment for me to be a part of, with my hearing loss, with my energy, with my life. It just didn't align at all. And I was actually very shocked that she even suggested it. However, I know that deep down, yes, she was not thinking about me truly. She was not understanding anything about me in that moment. She was thinking about herself. She was being incredibly selfish. But she was being selfish because she wanted to see me. She was being selfish because she wanted to celebrate me. And that was the only thing she could think of because that is something she would want to do. It was selfish. Selfish behavior is not malicious. Selfish behavior is an internal disconnect. And it is something that people that have these selfish tendencies struggle with deeply. And I have seen it across the board. I do not have this same selfish, energy that the rest of the world has. And it has been pointed out to me over and over again that I'm just different here. So I can't really expect anyone to be where I am with this. If I truly love them and I truly care, then I also need to see them and I also need to meet them and I also just need to have the conversations instead of being hurt and allowing them the opportunity to process and to respond and to have a good conversation with me about it. And I also need to understand that that might not happen right away because she would not be expecting this conversation because she is thinking about herself. And to herself, this sounded like an awesome plan because she would love it. Me being hurt and making it personal amplifies the negative energy and the disconnect. And I did that for years and years and years with my friends. Instead of saying, hey, I just felt a little, like this. Hey, I feel very unseen right now. Is it okay if I explain to you why that is not a good option for me for this day? Is it okay if we talk about why it's so hard for me so you can have a better understanding of what life is truly like for me? Hearing loss is really weird because, like I said, I have always lived in a hearing world, and nobody around me truly understood hearing loss, or if they did, they were living the same type of life as I was, where they were also just so committed to their hearing world and they didn't really know how to create a safe world that was more for them. So we were all just trying to fit in and pretend and get through these things. So I totally understand where it's hard to understand something that you aren't experiencing personally. And a lot of us have to experience it personally for us to truly understand it. That's written into some of our human designs. That is not something that people are making up or people are using to intentionally hurt people. The majority of people are really out here just trying their absolute best. And when we focus on what is wrong instead of a solution, how we can bridge this gap, and understanding that from both sides, it may be a little tough to stay not affected by emotion in it because we both are a little triggered, a little traumatized here, because certainly this is not something that we want to happen. And this is not something that people are like trying to hurt each other in, but we act like we are. Emotion is funny, y'all. Emotion is funny. And it's obviously like not this one birthday that this happened. This has been a reoccurring theme in my life. And the more that I look back at it, the more that I realize, yeah, a lot of those people were wrong. A lot of those people were not great friends to me in those moments. But none of them were trying to be a bad friend. They were just being selfish. They just weren't really thinking about anyone but themselves. And who hasn't been there? I can't be mad at somebody for something that she brought to light for me. Because honestly, all it did at the end of the day was make me aware that I still hold some of this energy. I woke up on my birthday and I just sort of wanted to cry. And I was like, oh, interesting. It is because I've felt this way for a very long time. But that is because I gave energy to the wrong people. I could have 10 people show up. The one that didn't got my focus. I could have the absolute best birthday, and the people that were around me lifted me up. They saw me so clearly, but then I saw the friends that didn't. And I didn't spend all my time back then talking about how great it was and how much I appreciated those people and how lucky I was. I was talking about the negative side and what let me down and what I expected to happen and then it did. And then I would, in passing, say, oh, but I'm just so grateful for you guys. Like, that is internally out of balance. And the more we stay focused on the other person, the clear wrongdoing, the more we miss what is actually happening within. The more time we waste being stuck in our own negative loops. When I tell people you have to take responsibility for your own hurt, for your own unhealing, people tend to get really angry at first because it's so clear what is wrong and they want me to give them an out. But the thing is that everyone gives outs. everyone, for the most part, when you bring something that is so obviously disconnected and one-sided at this point in time, they act like that is a whole. This person is this person all the time. Oh, they've done that before, so obviously this is just who they are. But there's so much more than that, too. And if I think back to all the times that she's made me feel like $1 million, all the times that she's made me laugh so hard it hurt, all the times that she has been there for me when not one other person was, I would be throwing away 1,000,000+ great times for one bad moment. If we don't have a conversation and grow through it, I'm literally throwing away all of these beautiful moments for one that I'm not confident enough to have a conversation about. My fear, my block that is holding me back, my nervous system, all of that is going to now stay rooted in fear, in lack, in hurt. It's going to pile that on and it's going to settle in my unconscious. And I'm going to keep moving like everything is fine. But my system internally is going to keep behaving as though it is not. I create the disconnect. I have been given an opportunity to heal more deeply an area that I previously was unaware of still existed. She really gave me the greatest gift that she could have. And if she would have texted me on my birthday and passed the test, I would have missed the lesson. We gotta focus on this. Nothing changes until internally something changes. And the more conversations you can have, the less emotion is behind them. The more you can come together to try and find a solution and work through the hurt on both sides, the things that are out of alignment on both sides. That's when things come together. And at first, that conversation might look like defense, because now the other person's hurt because they certainly weren't trying to do that. They didn't even really recognize that that was happening. And so when that conversation comes up, it can feel like the rug is pulled out from under them. When that conversation came up originally, it felt like the rug was pulled out from me. Emotion. Emotion can jump into the driver's seat and take control. That is why it is so important that we allow ourselves awareness around this, and we allow ourselves a different path. We allow ourselves to change the narrative, and we look at it from a point that builds. How can I use this to heal? How can I use this to have a better, more connected conversation? How can I use this to become more visible? Because I also have to recognize I took a test about how open you are with other people. And I thought I was going to pass that like, oh, girl, you're an open book, because of everything I do with y'all, everything I've written about in my books, in my blog, everything I do on convoswithbrie.com is open. Everything I do on social media is open. I got 0%, y'all. 0. I have never in my life gotten 0% on a test, okay? No matter how bad I did, I still had something, okay? But I got 0% on my visibility to others. And I am a manifester. So manifestors automatically, they're tougher to read. They're tougher to feel their energy. So while we are really good at reading everyone else, we think that they can do the same for us, but they can't all the time. And it's interesting. Learning about my human design has changed my life, and I will do an episode on that, because if you don't know your design, you should. But it helps me to understand that it may be harder to pick that up. And I look back at all the times that I did internally send signals, but I didn't say anything out loud. I've always been very stuck in my words and in my throat. And I really have been working on that. That's a big part of this visibility challenge, is just working through deeper blocks to being stuck and scared and breaking through all of the fear that was put into my system. So if you have any relationships right now that are struggling, I genuinely encourage you to take a beat. You know what's wrong on that side. I know you do. I know you've spun it every way. I know that you know exactly what you don't like about what's happening from the other side. But I challenge you to see what you don't love about your side. What is it that you are struggling with from your own internal thinking, reactions, anything, the way you feel about it currently? What is it that you are struggling with from your own perspective? That is going to grow you more and evolve you faster than looking at what somebody else is doing wrong anytime, any day of the week. If we're looking at others, it should only be an observation. It should only be to understand more deeply, to connect, to be able to ask genuine, curious questions about the things that don't make sense to us, without the anger, without the frustration, without all of that. It should just be met with, what is happening? Can we have a conversation about this? And when it gets heated, you should both be able to understand that you are needing a moment to breathe. You should be able to take a beat to process. If it feels too overwhelming and it cannot stay calm, this isn't the time to talk about it. And instead of spiraling, we're calming. We're calming our own insides. We are calming our nervous systems. We are now communicating from a more healthy space. That's the goal. And if you want advancement, if you want to love your life more, you've got to stop looking so hard at what the other person is doing, how they're letting you down, how they're falling short, what you're not getting, what isn't what you want, what's wrong with them. You got to stop looking at them so hard, and you've got to look within. You've got to. And you've got to just do whatever feels necessary within before you can take it external and you can hash this out. You have to understand within from a calm space, one where your emotions can't just grab the keys and take over. And that's where you build from. That's where your life changes. That's where you find more you. Y'all, I'm loving this. I'm so freaking glad I started this and that I just keep pushing myself to do this. Remember, if you are excited about this the way that I'm excited about this, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow along, get those notifications, y'all. I just think beautiful things are going to shine from this. Remember, nothing meant for you will miss you. Breathe. Just breathe.